been hit with a essay, you know, a R case, you know, with a teenage girl, 13 years old. It's not looking good. They're pulling Jay-Z over into Diddy's situation, and they're gonna pull many more, you know, of our billionaires into this situation. Watch when this superseding indictment come out, and all these names that Tony Buzbee has, the attorney, um, he already said that he's going to be working closely with the feds to give them the information he has, you know what I mean, to help them move forward with criminal cases. So, you know, I'm praying for Jay-Z. I hope it don't turn out the opposite like it did with Diddy saying you know, that never happened, that it was a money grab, and then a video come out showing something crazy. Let's hope they don't do that with Jay-Z. Let's hope and pray they don't do that with Jay-Z, you know, because Jay-Z stood firm. He gets a round of applause for that. Jay-Z told him he's not giving him one red penny. Jay-Z also told him that, you know, I'm not a music dude. I'm a dude that made it out the projects into music. So don't let me have to take it back to the projects because you're stepping out of line now, accusing me of something as heinous as this that could ruin my career, my legacy. So just remember, I'm a man that made it out the projects into music. I'm not a man that was born into music or came from the suburbs into music. I come from a different set of rules, so be careful what you're doing, Mr. Buzbee, is the way I interpret that. And that was strong and that was powerful. You know what I mean? Well, you know, we ain't a gangster channel. Gangster thing. I got my man Jesse Webb and me. We're going to break this down. But before we start, cop my man Lou Sims' book. The QR code on the screen works. Subscribe at Mecca Audio TV. Subscribe, notify, and all that stuff here. Let's keep it moving. All right. Keep it going. 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 Mecca what? Mecca audio. Mecca what? Mecca audio. Mecca audio. Mecca audio. I like the way it's going down. All right, you know what it is. This what it is, right? This what it is. We over here. We just chilling. Enjoy the vibes. We at the Mecca. Jay-Z has just been pulled into Diddy's situation. It's going to get worse, you know. It's going to be more because I'm just taking it to the street. Let's ride real quick. I'm just taking it to the street. All right. Now, if I was Tony Buzbee and I'm doing something, not saying he's doing nothing illegal, not saying that at all. I'm just saying, thinking from a legal standpoint, a legal frame of mind. If I'm Tony Buzbee, I got thousands of people hitting me up for a case. I would do the same thing the government do. I'll tell them, okay, look, we're going to write a script. Okay, you got to say that this happened here, you know, and then you got to say that you was there when that happened there. And then when you say that something happened with you over here and you got your own separate case, I got somebody to say that you was there too. You know what I mean? So I got a corroborator for you. I got a corroborator for everybody. We're going to put this script together. I got the best script writers. And that's how it's going to be more. And that's how the numbers are going to get bigger. And Jay-Z's just the tip of the iceberg, man. He's just the tip of the iceberg. He's a don't be surprised, and I hope we don't. But we see the first black female billionaire up here. If y'all know who she is, you put it in the comment. The first black female billionaire. See, accompanied a few of his parties too. Let's be realistic. Well, let's play this and see where Jay-Z at with this, because y'all might not be ready for this. And this ain't no conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? So let's get this thing popping and let's show them how we do it at the Mecca.
One big name has just come to the surface. Jay-Z Sean Carter, that's right, the rapper and entrepreneur, has just been identified as that unnamed celebrity in a lawsuit that we covered right here on Sidebar a few weeks ago. Actually, he has just been named as a defendant now in that lawsuit. You might recall there was this lawsuit that was filed against Sean Combs back in October, where an unnamed Jane Doe alleges that back on September 7th, 2000, when she was just 13 years old, she was taken to a Video Music Awards, VMA's after party, which was 20 minutes away from the event in New York. And at this party, she claims that she took a drink, she started feeling woozy, lightheaded, she makes the claim that she may have been drugged, and then she tries to find a place to lie down in what she thought was an empty bedroom. She said that is when Sean Combs, along with a male and female celebrity, entered the room. And Combs allegedly grabbed her and said, "You are ready to party." Well, now, Celebrity A, who was that unnamed celebrity, has been identified as Sean Carter. This is a part of a newly filed amended complaint. And it reads, Combs then threw plaintiff toward a wall, causing plaintiff to fall. Plaintiff got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her again and threw her on the bed. At that point, Carter began removing plaintiff's clothes as she grew more and more disoriented. The complaint says, and I won't get into graphic detail, but Jay-Z raped this teen. And then it goes on to say that Diddy allegedly raped her too, that they took turns. And she claims that she actually fought back, hit Combs in the neck, was able to grab her clothes and run out of the room. Incredibly disturbing allegations. And she is suing both men under the New York Motivated Gender Violence Protection Act, which is a law that has been used by other accusers against Sean Combs, and it allows for someone to sue against their attacker who commits some sort of violent act upon them. It doesn't have to be sexual per se, but it has to be motivated by their gender, and it allows somebody to sue until February 2025. So even older claims, say something from 2000, can be brought forth now. Actually, here's what it says in the complaint. The requirement that the crime of violence be committed because of gender or on the basis of gender and due at least in part to an animus based on the victim's gender is satisfied because defendants Combs and Carter forced minor plaintiff to engage in a sexual interaction without consent. Jane Doe could not effectively consent because of her age. The non-consensual sexual touching of a minor herein presented a serious risk of physical injury and in fact caused such injury. Gender animus inheres when consent is absent. Hey, before we go any further, I want to...
Yo, that is so crazy. We're going to have to get over here and see what's going on. Let me bring it over here, Rob. Let me bring it over here. And, you know, we're going to just do what we got to do over here. They're actually saying that Diddy and Jay-Z raped a 13-year-old girl. I just want to know, when did it go this far that you could just make these allegations? It's going to play out in the court of law, so we're going to see exactly what's happening, right? But to actually even hear these despicable acts against any human, much less two icons such as this, it tells us that we're in a trying times if this is true, these allegations, and it's a trying times if they're not true, when you could actually just say anything you want about someone and get away with it. Please, somebody explain that to me, because I'm so lost right now that I don't even know where to begin, because I've never even heard of nothing like this, man. I'm coming home after 26 years in prison, and to be seeing this, that's why I report on it, because I just don't get it. All right, let me turn this thing back up, man, and we're going to get back into this.
I'll tell you that in this lawsuit, it seems to state or allege that Carter, Jay-Z, is not only allegedly a player in this incident, but that he could be included in other situations. Because at the very beginning of the complaint, it reads, Combs has been allowed for years to conduct himself in this manner without any consequences. He believes he is above the law. He is not. His close friend Sean Carter has been with Combs during many such instances described herein. Both perpetrators must face justice. And the lawsuit...
Did you hear that? They just officially announced that Sean Carter is going down with Jay-Z, with, what's the name, R. Kelly and Diddy, our three biggest so far and counting. He said there's others. Remember, did he just because they're naming these allegations against him, he has fell from grace? So now Tony Buzbee is letting it be known he's going to be naming these allegations against Jay-Z to bring him down from grace as well. And Jay-Z said, take it to the court. Why try and slander me in this public media? If I did something horrendous, take me to court, as he should. Because there's going to be plenty of these crazy lawsuits that wouldn't make it in a criminal court, where they're going to turn the civil court into a kangaroo court. The civil court is going to be labeled a kangaroo court when they start seeing some of these crazy allegations that's going to come out. And they normally just expected these rappers and moguls to just settle under the table. But they're standing up as men because they know if they settle one, they're going to come with another and come with another and come with another. It's not like they're going to give them a blanket, whatever. But like Jay-Z said, take it to the criminal court. Why go after the money? Lock me up. Get me castrated. Or is it just about the bag? Somebody put it in the comments because I'm really confused right now. All right?
It also doubles down on how close Combs and Carter are. Because at one point it reads, the two are apparently so close that Combs stated in 2023 that Carter is the only person other than Combs' mother who is allowed to call him by his legal first name of Sean. Now, this whole lawsuit is significant for several reasons. First of all, this lawsuit was filed by Tony Buzbee. This is that Texas attorney who claims to represent over 100 alleged victims of Sean Combs. And he indicated in the past that he would name names. And there was reporting, particularly by TMZ, that high-profile people had reached out to him to settle claims so that they wouldn't be listed in lawsuits. They wouldn't be named in lawsuits. Well, with that in mind, take a listen to what Jay-Z had to say, because he released a statement after the filing of this lawsuit. And it reads in part, quote, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Buzbee. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I've done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. He goes on to say, my only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. He continues, my heart and support goes out to true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your moral world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have.
So watch yourself. You heard that? I'm a young man that made it out the projects of Brooklyn. All right? Big shout out to Brooklyn. Jay-Z represent Marcy, baby. You know what I mean?
We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. Now, clearly, in my opinion, this was a pre-planned response. He had to have known that this lawsuit was coming because, again, if you take these allegations as true, if you're taking what he's saying as true, and by the way, Buzbee did indicate that Carter received a letter from him requesting a mediation, He knew negotiations broke down, if there were any kind of negotiations, and that this lawsuit would be filed. So it appears that this response was definitely planned in advance, and he's going to fight it. He's going to fight it. Now, something interesting to note, when Sean Carter says that Tony Buzbee is an ambulance chaser, that he threw out this demand letter, that he was trying to essentially extort him, Buzbee himself has been sued. He has been sued by an unnamed high-profile public figure.
All right, stop. Let me explain this so y'all understand in layman terms what's going on from Jay-Z's perspective. Because he's making it look like, Jay-Z was in the back and they said, give me $100 million, and Jay-Z said, nah, I won't give you that much. And they said, give me $50 million. Jay-Z said, I wouldn't give you that much. That's how, no disrespect, Jesse Weber, because I respect your gangster. That's why we always communicate. But, that's not it. Why it can't be that Tony Buzbee sent Jay-Z a letter. Jay-Z gets the letter. Me, as a man from the street, look at the letter, and I said, hold up, this is an ambulance chaser. You know what? Tell me to get out of here. What do you mean he want to sit down with me and work this out amicably, and this is nothing to even think about? This is ludicrous. And he sends the letter back to him, tell him, get out of here. Then, of course, he tells his lawyer, this clown, trying to shake me down, so get a letter ready so that we can let him know straight up I'm not giving him one red penny. Now, what is wrong with it playing out like that? But the media, their media is trying to make it like Jay-Z was in negotiations with him in the back. We don't know if Jay-Z was in negotiations in the back. I don't know. They don't know. Only him and Buzbee know. But the media reported like if he was in, stop it. It don't even make any sense. And, bottom line is Jay-Z said, I don't want to hear it. Take this letter and just get out of here. There's nothing to talk about. I don't want to meet with you privately because we're not settling nothing because there's nothing to settle. This is all trash. All right, so let's go. Come on, Tony Buzbee.
Someone apparently connected or friends with Sean Combs, who alleged that Buzbee, quote, shamelessly tried to extort him by threatening to file a lawsuit against him unless he pays up. Claims that Buzbee threatened him with a lawsuit that was filled with entirely fabricated and malicious allegations of sexual assault. So again, something to think about as we hear about these Tony Buzbee lawsuits and we think about Jay-Z's response. So Jay-Z is not backing down, at least from this statement. Having said that, while he is completely innocent, you do have to wonder now whether this lawsuit has been filed, whether other lawsuits will come down the pike. That's what happened with Sean Combs. But to be clear about something, while this is essentially an alleged crime, what's being discussed, this is a lawsuit. This is a civil case. The burden of proof is much lower, much tougher to bring criminal charges, especially when you're dealing with a claim that's 24 years old. But also, I should tell you, given the time frame, this could be beyond the statute of limitations to bring a state criminal charge. And I'm not sure, based on this fact pattern alone, whether a federal crime would trigger. But again, whatever it is, these are allegations. Either way, these are allegations. By the way, in response to Jay-Z, Tony Buzbee just posted something on X, formerly Twitter, that is very interesting, and it makes you wonder if whether or not Jay-Z is that unnamed plaintiff, because he writes, regarding the Jay-Z case and his efforts to silence my clients, Mr. Carter previously denied being the one who sued me and my firm. He filed his frivolous case under a pseudonym. What he fails to say in his recent statement is my firm sent his lawyer a demand letter on behalf of an alleged victim, and that victim never demanded a penny from him. Instead, she only sought a confidential mediation. Since I sent the letter on her behalf, Mr. Carter has not only sued me, but he has tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff.
You heard that? He said, listen, stop it. Let's stop the crap. Let's stop the crap with the... He just sent a letter. They want to sit down and have a meeting. They didn't ask for a dime. So what is the meeting for? The meeting is to see how much money you could get, right? To see what evidence you got and how much money you could get. So the meeting is about the money. So you did ask for money. You just didn't put a dollar figure on it when you asked for the meeting. The meeting wasn't to get his autograph. The meeting wasn't, for, him to apologize, to make her feel better or apologize, because it did happen and they sincerely felt it was bad. That wasn't what the meeting was for. The meeting was for how much of the bag you ready to give up. Am I right, y'all? Put in the comments, man. We just breaking it down from a hood perspective so we know what's going on. He talking about he sent him a letter, they never asked for a dime. Dude, the meeting was the dime. And that's when Jay-Z said you won't get one red cent. Because you tried to ask for the bag. using the disguise of a meeting. Stop it. What did Jay-Z say? I'm a man that made it out the projects. So check yourself and know what you're dealing with.
His conduct has had the opposite impact. She is emboldened. I'm very proud of her resolve. As far as the allegations in the complaint filed, we will let the filing speak for itself and will litigate the facts in court, not the media.
Now, Tony, Tony Buzbee gets a round of applause. I told you, bad cold, but I just had to give you all this. Tony Buzbee gets a round of applause, right? He gets a round of applause because he's the best marketing and branding person that we've seen in a very long time. No one even knew who Tony Buzbee was until he jumped on this Diddy situation. Now the world know who he is. And now he throwing Jay-Z out there, so now Jay-Z fans are going to know who he is. He's getting the best publishing, marketing, branding you can want. Come on, man.
Now, we are going to monitor what happens with this Jay-Z situation. But as I said, that is not the only update we have to discuss, especially in terms of identities being revealed. Why? Because we have learned the identity of one of the Jane Does who sued Sean Combs. This was back in December 2023. This is one of the initial lawsuits. I think it was the 5th lawsuit that Sean Combs had faced. And this was after Cassandra Ventura had first filed her sexual assault lawsuit against Sean Combs the month before, in November of 2023. This set the whole ball rolling on all of the many lawsuits that he now faces from dozens of alleged victims. And of course, which also seemingly led to the criminal charges that he now faces. But that accuser has been identified now as Anna Kane. Anna Kane is the ex-wife of NHL star Evander Kane from the Edmonton Oilers. And she just filed an amended complaint where she is now named as the plaintiff. And let's remember what she's accusing Sean Combs of. In her lawsuit, originally filed on December 6, 2023, she claims that 20 years earlier, back in 2003, when she was only 17 years old, in the 11th grade, she claims she was sex trafficked and gang raped by Sean Combs, Harvey Pierre, this is the president of Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings, and an unidentified third assailant. And more specifically, she alleges that she met Pierre and this third person at a lounge in Detroit, Michigan. Pierre, she says, smoked crack cocaine and then forced her to perform oral sex on him. Later on, she alleges that he convinced her to accompany him by private jet to New Jersey, where they all go to Sean Combs' recording studio. And from there, she claims she was plied with drugs and alcohol, was incredibly inebriated, and as I mentioned, was gang raped by all 3 men. And this included while she allegedly said, stop. And by the way, in the complaint, there were even photos that were embedded, and it was of this woman with a blurred out face. Now it seems to be that was Kane.
Yo, that's that young girl. The judge, hold up. The judge made her identify herself. Remember, everyone was trying to figure out who this young girl was. So she went from Diddy to a hockey star. Young girl got good. Yo, hold up. Let's play this out.
And she's in this recording studio. In fact, in one photo, she is with Sean Combs, sitting on his lap. Now, why was she revealed? The simple answer, the judge overseeing this case forced her to reveal her identity. U.S. District Court Judge Jessica G.L. Clark ruled that Kane couldn't proceed with this case anonymously anymore. And while understanding that revealing her identity could, quote, have significant impact on her, particularly given the graphic and disturbing allegations in this case, Clark also wrote in her order, the court cannot rely on generalized, uncorroborated claims that disclosure would harm plaintiff to justify her anonymity. Without more specific support, plaintiff fails to overcome the prejudice to defendants and public interest factors implicated here. Now, we've seen this reasoning. In fact, we saw this in another Sean Combs case where another accuser was ordered to reveal herself. The general idea is that while there are certain circumstances by which an accuser or a victim of sexual assault could remain anonymous, could file a lawsuit and continue a lawsuit, under a pseudonym, you need to explain what particular harm would happen if your identity was revealed. Otherwise, it's not fair. Combs has a right to confront his accuser, to research that person, especially since the accuser has chosen to file the lawsuit. That person has put their own credibility into issue. Combs has a right to challenge that. And it's different than a criminal case where victims or alleged victims are prosecution witnesses and they don't necessarily want to testify per se or choose to testify per se. This was her case. She sued him. In other words, then, if that wasn't the case, any sexual assault accuser could sue someone anonymously. And is that necessarily fair? Now, what is significant about this is that Combs apparently put the pressure on Kane to reveal herself. And of course, that could have resulted in Kane dropping the suit, right? If the accuser doesn't want to tell the world who they are, this is very, very sensitive details, they may just drop the lawsuit if they can't.
They're not going to drop the bag, Jesse. Stop it.
Can't remain anonymous. But she seems to be moving forward nonetheless. In fact, her attorney, Doug Wigdor, shared a statement from her to TMZ saying, "I had hoped to use a pseudonym in pursuing justice for what happened to me as a teenager. Defendants demand that I use my name was an attempt to intimidate me, but I am not intimidated. I am prepared to proceed and hold accountable those who have harmed me." And by the way,
then you should have never withheld your name.
Talking about Kane having to reveal herself, you have to wonder if in the other lawsuits where there are other Jane Does, including the one now against Jay-Z, if that plaintiff is forced to reveal her identity, will she continue that lawsuit against Jay-Z and Sean Combs? We'll see. By the way, I should tell you, when it comes to these sexual assault allegations, Combs has adamantly denied having any involvement or partaking in anything like this. In fact, when it came to Kane's suit, back when it was filed in December, Combs had already been hit, by the way, with multiple lawsuits at the time. He released the following statement. "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth." And Pierre also released a statement adamantly denying the accusation, saying, "This is a tale of fiction. I have never participated in, witnessed, nor heard of anything like this ever. These disgusting allegations are false and a desperate attempt for financial gain. I will vigorously protect my reputation and defend my name. Those who know me recognize that these claims are not true."
And you won't get one red penny.
By the way, before we move on, one more update with respect to Ms. Kane's lawsuit. The claims against the corporate defendants in this lawsuit, like Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings and Daddy's House Recordings, they were dismissed. Now, I'm not going to bog you down with the legal reasoning behind it, just to say that a change in the law that was being used to hold the companies liable for what Combs allegedly did couldn't be retroactively applied. So that's a loss for Kane, because in lawsuits, the corporate defendants, they're the ones that have the deep pockets, right? They have the significant money, although we're talking about Sean Combs here. But other
Beautiful. Okay, so let me break that down so y'all understand. What they're saying is, in the suit, she could have sued, Bad Boy, Diddy's house, and everything else, and got a piece of that. But now she's protected under the LLC part of it. But then you got the federal case. With the federal case, is different because they have what they call a forfeiture law. So that was a big win for him in the civil suits, because they can't get to the company money. They can just go to after his individual money. But now they have the other joint, the federal forfeiture case, that if he's found guilty of any one of these, they could take Bad Boy and make it, the Rat Pack. You know what I mean? And put all the government rats on there and make them the biggest stars and give them the biggest promotion. And instead of the Bad Boy with the guns and all that, it'll be a bunch of little rat microphones. You know what I mean? And cameras on their little ears or something. All right.
Otherwise, her lawsuit proceeds, and there will be a hearing on January 9th, 2025. So we'll see what happens next. But now, moving on to some more updates. More back and forth between prosecutors in Combs' criminal case and his lawyers, something we have to talk about. And one issue involves a suppression hearing, meaning a hearing where Combs' defense counsel will try to have evidence not allowed into his criminal trial. Now, in a December 4th filing with the court, The defense brings up once again that issue that we had talked about before on Sidebar, where these writings, these papers from Sean Combs' detention unit at the MDC were photographed by a Bureau of Prisons investigator during a sweep for contraband at the facility. Combs' lawyers had argued that potentially attorney-client and work product privilege materials were photographed and they were shared with the prosecution, and that this is a big no-no. And they also alleged that the government was improperly monitoring Sean Combs' jail calls with families and his attorneys. And also, by the way, you'll remember that Judge Arun Subramanian denied Combs bail for allegedly violating the BOP rules by engaging in three-way phone calls and using other inmates' phone access codes. Prosecutors had alleged that he did this to try to improperly reach out to witnesses and taint a future jury pool, but Subramanian denied Sean Combs bail. But anyway,
let me explain that to you, right? Because this one sickens me to my stomach that they denied him bail because of a three-way call. Like I said, in the prison, everyone and their mama makes a three-way call in the prison. And it's such a minor charge that you can't even get locked up for it. You know what I mean? They give you what they call extra duty, where they tell a grown man, a kingpin, that you got to do 2 hours extra duty for using someone's phone. So they make you wipe down the windows to look like a fool, because here goes the kingpin wiping a window because he used someone else's pack number. That's how simple and minor this is. But I know how they can manipulate that to make that so serious that when my homies and my comrades started getting access to cell phones when I was doing my 26 years, I told them keep that away from me. Because if they catch any one of my numbers in that phone, when they grab y'all and get the SIM card, that's when the SIM cards was out then, if they grab y'all and get the SIM card and my number is in it, they could try and say I tried to do anything from behind these bars. My case looking good, and I'm going home to be with my family, friends, and loved one, and start this YouTube. All right? All right. See what I'm saying? Calm down. Relax. We don't need that. Relax. So now, that's where we at. Right? So they made a big thing out of it and denied him bail because he used somebody else's pack number, which everyone in the prison do. But I already know, like I said, they can make anything out of anything if you big enough for them to want to make anything out of it, because whoever make the biggest cake and the best tasting cake, the best sounding cake, is the one that wins. So now, did he make a three-way calls? He might have just been calling his kids to tell me love them. They didn't reveal what those calls are. They even said that those calls was not criminal in nature that he made with the three-way calls. So they heard exactly what was said on the three-way calls. But where they go with it now is, well, if he chose to, he could turn it into criminal if we allow him to continue to move like this. And if he's moving like this to even circumvent the phone, then he'll circumvent another way to get to the witnesses if we put him out there without the supervision of MDC Brooklyn. Y'all got it? Let's keep it moving.
Anyway, Sean Combs' lawyers write in this December 4th filing, they write, the government exploited Mr. Combs' detention by engaging in unfair and unconstitutional tactics that have interfered with his ability to work with his attorneys and make it impossible for his attorneys to provide effective assistance of counsel. They write, this disturbing conduct is a blatant violation of Mr. Combs' rights. Prosecutors say the search was motivated by security concerns at MDC, but that is a false pretext. The purported purpose of the BOP sweep was to search for contraband, but since when is prison contraband photographed and left in place? If it were contraband, it would have been seized. That is not what Investigator 1 did here, leading to the inescapable conclusion that this was an intentional, targeted, and illegal search to discover any information that could give the prosecutors a leg up against Mr. Combs.
Yo, all right, yo, I'm gonna break. Hold on, I gotta come up here to my sci-fi joint. Let me break this down so y'all really understand this, right? And that's why I hope y'all come to Unique Mecca Audio, the gangster channel, so you can understand how gangster think. They want Diddy so bad, right? Listen, they want this one man so bad that they called the FBOP and pulled a sweep to search the whole prison. 2,000 men, whatever they got in there, 1,500 men to serve 1,500 cells and every square inch of that prison just to make their way to Diddy's cell so they could see what he has in the cell and have an excuse for going in his cell. So they paid all that money to get all of those marshals to go shake the whole jail down just to go in Diddy's cell. See, that right there, they just put a target on Diddy's back with that. Because now the people that's in there that lost their phones, that lost their this, they lost their that, because of this sweep that they did just to get to Diddy is because of Diddy. So now the dudes in there that's official, that's playing by penitentiary rules, is gonna push up on Diddy and tell him, yo, they took my phone, you gotta buy me a new one. They took my phone because of your shakedown to shake your cell down. So now your ass owe me a phone. And what do you think Diddy's gonna do? Put it in the comments. But do you think they right for telling them that he owed him a phone because it was his shakedown? Because they did all of this to get to his cell. So they had to go through all these other 800, 900 cells just to get to Diddy's cell. And then they had to take something to make it look good. Y'all understand the words coming out of my mouth, it is too deep for you. This is what happens in prison. That's why I say don't go to prison. It's not worth it. Definitely not worth it.
Including his handwritten privilege notes, a roadmap to his defense. So they're basically saying this sweep didn't have anything to do with just, a pre-planned look at all contraband. This was specifically targeted at Sean Combs. That's what the argument seems to be. And they continue, the prosecutors knowingly, intentionally, and secretly took possession of the notes and then used them against Mr. Combs. They took the notes without following the agreed-upon filter team procedure that is supposed to ensure that the case team is not tainted by access to privileged information. By the way, a filter team is this independent examiners who look through material and take out anything that might be privileged. Anyway, they continue. They then appended clearly privileged portions of the notes to their bail opposition to support continued detention. This was when prosecutors said that these writings in his cell showed Combs was improperly reaching out to a witness in the case. They used this as evidence to oppose his bail. And the defense writes, it is impossible to know what else the government has done with these notes. Indeed, the prosecution has refused to disclaim using the notes to further its investigation going forward. They go on, this entire sequence of events, even based on the facts known to date, is shocking and outrageous government conduct. The government has intentionally violated Mr. Combs' attorney-client privilege and Sixth Amendment right to counsel by invading the defense camp and unjustifiably interfere with relationship with counsel and ability to defend. Mr. Combs cannot possibly receive a fair trial if he is not permitted to confer privately and confidentially with his counsel and others working at the direction and to take and keep notes of his trial preparation. The search also violated the Fourth Amendment and Mr. Combs' Fifth Amendment due process rights. So now they're asking the court to step in. And they write, we request discovery and a hearing to determine the extent of the violations, to establish procedures to minimize prejudice going forward, and to ensure that Mr. Combs receives a fair trial. The court should also order other necessary relief, including but not limited to suppression of the notes and any fruits of the illegal search, meaning it can't be used at trial, directing that a special master conduct privilege review in lieu of the filter team going forward, disqualification of any and all prosecutors tainted by access to the privileged materials. Wow, that's a big one, just telling the prosecution team they can't be part of the case, and ordering the government to stop monitoring Mr. Combs' communications with the defense team, and depending on the evidence adduced at the hearing, dismissal of the indictment, meaning their conduct was so bad, this indictment should be thrown out. This whole criminal case should be thrown out. Now, I should tell you that Judge Subramanian has already heard some of these arguments in a prior hearing, and actually, he instructed the prosecutors to destroy the copies of Sean Combs' notes they had in their possession. I will say, though, it wasn't like it was all pro-defense. He wasn't too happy with the defense either, because he said that they weren't entirely accurate with him about what was and wasn't labeled legal in Sean Combs' unit. Now, that is not the only recent back and forth between prosecutors and the defense. Another update revolves around Combs' use of a laptop. You see, given the sheer amount of evidence and material in this case for Sean Combs to review, and by the way, he has a constitutional right to prepare for his defense, prosecutors arranged for a laptop to be provided to him at the MDC. However, there were certain parameters that prosecutors put forward in terms of where he could view the materials and when he could view them. For instance, they said he couldn't view the materials in his own unit, while in the presence of other inmates because they say there is sealed information on that laptop, and that includes the names of alleged victims and witnesses. This is a security and privacy risk. So the prosecutors offered that he'll only be provided with the laptop in the unit's video teleconference room during select times when legal staff is available and when that room is not otherwise being used during other inmates' legal calls, or he'll only be provided with the laptop in the legal visiting room between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3:30 p.m., but not both. He can't have both options. Now, Sean Combs' lawyers objected to this. They said that he is being selectively treated unfairly from other inmates, that given these limited amounts of times, he's going to have to choose between either reviewing the laptop and visiting with his attorneys. They say this situation is untenable and that there's not this security risk that prosecutors claim because there's no reason to believe Sean Combs would share these sensitive materials with other inmates. And also there was this whole back and forth about whether Combs could use the laptop to take notes too. Defense says he has a right to take legal notes on the laptop. Prosecutors say no, that goes beyond what's allowed with the laptop. And the defense also argued that the MDC needs to stop sending attorney visitation forms to prosecutors, meaning letting them know when his lawyers are visiting him. And they say that violates attorney-client privilege. Prosecutors countered. They said, no, it doesn't. The fact that he met with his attorneys, that's not privileged information. And by the way, we have a right to know, considering Sean Combs is the one who really made it an issue of how often he meets with his lawyers while at the MDC. So a little bit of a back and forth there between prosecutors and defense counsel. But I have one more update I got to talk to you about regarding the MDC. You see, according to reporting from Fox News, we may know what Sean Combs will be doing during Christmas, the first Christmas that he has spent behind bars. Apparently, during the holiday, he and other inmates can take part in a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, play cards, play dominoes, play soccer. Also, on the dinner menu for Christmas Day, there is reportedly a Cornish hen, macaroni and cheese, cranberry sauce, dinner rolls, a holiday dessert, just in case you wanted to know what Sean Combs may be up to behind bars. Quite the fall from grace for the once renowned music star. But look, as I've said before and I'll say it again, he is innocent until proven guilty, okay? He has not even been found liable in any of these sexual assault lawsuits as of yet. Have to be clear about that. So we will see where this case goes, and we will see how this story proceeds. All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, so that's where we at. That's where we at. You see, I'm just chilling, man. You know, but we've been on here long enough. I did a video dealing with the laptop and all that. That's gonna come on over there. You can check that out. I did it a day or so ago. It's about P. Diddy and the laptop. Go check it out. Caught my man Lou Sims' book. You know what time it is. All right.
Cheers, cheers. Toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in hall. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. I went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio.